Perfect. I'll add you to the stream now, and I've added your screen.
Excellent.
Oh. Yeah, and you're live.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrej of Zebra BI, and I'll present how to achieve actionable insights in Power BI by using the Zebra BI custom visuals. So I'm Andrej. I'm the CEO and founder at Zebra BI. I'm the Microsoft Most Valuable Professional and also a IBCS certified consultant. Now, the issue that we see constantly in reporting in Power BI reports and dashboards in Power BI is that many times they are not actionable enough. So Power BI is an amazing tool that offers extremely a lot of features in terms of data modeling, data preparation, and visualization. However, the way how you are using the actual data models, the way you are using the visuals and so on, may lead to good practices and bad practices. And many times we see dashboards like this one, where the sales is presented, and we have some sales here, so basically some revenue, profit, and so on. And then we have all those breakdowns by country, by state, by month, and so on, by using different visuals. Let me change my laser pointer here. So all of those breakdowns and so on. So it's actually very important information presented visually in different ways. A lot is going on here, but does this dashboard answer some fundamental questions here that an end user will actually ask? Like, if I'm the sales manager and my sales is 1.8 million, right? The first question that I have is my sales performance good or bad? Is this good or bad? Well, I actually don't know from this picture. Even though I have all of those breakdowns, I don't understand the context of this number 1.8 million. I mean, this could be like 50% growth from previous year. This could be, but this could be 10% below the plan, or maybe it's 20% above the plan, and so on. So because I don't have those comparisons, I don't have the right context for those numbers, I actually cannot answer this very simple question: is my sales performance good or bad? Right? I don't even know where to look to find this answer. There are lots of colors, some bright yellow colors screaming at me, some green colors possibly indicating that something is good, but it's not really so. These are some just arbitrary colors assigned to arbitrary data categories, right? And then the next question will be, well, if it's good or bad, how bad are we? 12.5% below the plan, or is our growth from previous year 30%, 20 or so? And then the next question inevitably will be why. If we are below the plan, for example, why are we below the plan? Where should my attention now be? And so on. And I need to answer this question quite fast, right? So these are the questions that I just need to get the answers in like seconds when I land on my dashboard, my report, and I want to gain this immediate insight into what's going on. Is it good or bad? Why? And then the last piece, the last question is, what are we going to do about it? Once we understand the situation, all right, now what's the action? Okay. And unfortunately, many reports and dashboards in Power BI do not answer those fundamental 4 questions, right? So now I have another example, and I will try to answer the same 4 questions. Is my performance good or bad? Well, in this case, I have my sales versus budget. Okay. And I see it's minus 1.1 million. So not only that I know that we are below the plan, okay, I know exactly it's 1.1 million here. Or I see here, this was my plan. This is my actual. It's actually 4.7% below the plan. And then why? Okay, now I need to look at other charts and elements of my dashboard, and I see some, red, green stuff here, some bars sticking out, and this caught my attention. So, this red color here, and when I read this, it's actually the women's clothing category in a specific, for example, in the fashions chain. This is a retail operation here. So I gain understanding by comparing visually, by the visuals actually guiding my attention to important changes, to important variances, and so on. Now, what are we going to do about it? Well, now I would probably have to explore further this data category, drill down, drill in, drill through, look at more data, get understanding, and then probably have a meeting and decide on an action, right? And this is how the dashboards become understandable and actionable. So let me just now switch to Power BI. And since we are talking today mostly about finance, I'll just start with the the basic financial report, which is in the P&L or an income statement. So this would be our take on how to actually create and design income statements in Power BI. This is how our clients are doing this. So most of our clients have a report similar to this one, and I'm talking about clients like even Microsoft itself, who's using Zebra BI, and Coca-Cola, and Deutsche Telekom, and so on. This would be a typical P&L statement. So first of all, I'm looking at this, for a specific month. I have my P&L, which is hierarchical in nature. So I have some, groups. I have my revenue, but I can expand and then understand what is, what consists of my revenue. So I have product revenue and service revenue and so on. Then I have certain other elements, costs of goods sold, and so on. Then I have my gross margins, and I have the percentage, right, and so on. Also, I have some comments here. Okay, so this is also one part of actionable reports. It's not just inserting tables and charts on a page. It's about the whole concept and about bringing together quantitative information and qualitative information. And of course, these comments are dynamic. So, if I'm looking at another month, I'll get another, different comments that were relevant for this particular month. And those are different accounts now that have been commented on, right? And now this financial report is actually not just the P&L. Within the same visual, I can actually flip or switch between the different types of income, different types of financial reports. So the holy three financial reports basically are income statements, balance sheets, and cash flow report. And you can actually bring all those three types of report into a single consolidated report that has all of those three types embedded, and you can actually show it in one single visual if you do the things correctly. So I'll speak about this a bit later. One important thing, when when building dashboards and reports in Power BI is how do you organize things? How do you make things really actionable? So typically you need a couple of essential elements on your screen. So you need some sort of a KPI area where you have your key KPIs that people typically want to see first. All right, what's my EBITDA in this month? What's the growth from previous year? What's the growth from what's the variance to plan? And then my EBIT and net earnings and so on, right? And then, of course, you provide some breakdowns in finance. You have some typical, categories and typical time intelligence groups like month to date, year to date, and then hopefully also forecast for the full year, right? So this is then presented in this table. And then, of course, you also need to provide some sort of trend so that people are actually gain understanding if something is going up or down and what's the overall trend, not just a comparison on a specific month, right? This all adds to the context being presented. And now, how are people consuming? What's this information? What is the most natural way of consuming this information? So if I see something red here, so my EBITDA is 10% below the plan, right? What will I do? I'll probably just click here, right? So you need to design for this interaction, and you need to have the right type of visuals placed in a meaningful way on this dashboard, so that people can just consume this in a really simple way, so that the user experience is completely natural. So I'll just click here, and now everything is being filtered for EBITDA, of course. And now I see my September, so I see the breakdown here. I see which business units are above the plan and below the plan here. So this is obviously an issue here. Then you have the trend, and this is my September now. And then if I go with my mouse, if I hover with my mouse over this element, I will get a breakdown so that I can actually understand this number to a bit more detailed level, right? So this is a report page tooltip in Power BI. It's a standard report page tooltip in Power BI that you can add to your Power BI pages. However, it does contain a carefully selected chart basically here in the tooltip, so that I get the breakdown of categories that actually contributed the most in either positive or a negative way to this total result in September, right? So in this case, I understand that those business units, some vehicles business unit is actually performing better than planned, but then I have 3 business units that were below the plan, and this is the reason why the whole September performance is not okay in the case of EBITDA. Again, you see some comments here, and also, as you see here in this dashboard, we don't just have the past, the information, the data from the past. This is also one typical fail or something that's lacking in Power BI dashboards and reports. We don't add forecasts. Okay, we just show the past. We don't show the estimated future. Okay, so it's important to add forecasts for the rest of the year, for example, as in this case. Okay, because all right, now I'm getting worried. My August EBITDA in August was below the plan, and my September was below the plan. But I do have this forecast that it's going to rise up again, and actually, in the end, by the end of the year, will end up in the green for 30%, for example. So you see, adding forecast comments on top of the visualizations plus the user experience kind of makes all those dashboards actionable. Okay, so now going back to my main point here is So how do you actually achieve that? I mean, to have clear presentation and visualization of data obviously is extremely powerful. Clarity is power. So let me break this down into top 7 rules that we have kind of distilled from, you know, the project that we've been involved in, what we see when working, helping our clients. So number 1 rule is the right choice of charts. Okay, many times people are just using pie charts and donut charts like this, and then, you know, a lot of gauges like that, or speedometers. Also stacked charts with lots of categories, with diagonally displayed labels in the axis. Again, some stack chart with negative numbers, which is quite confusing actually to see. It's very hard now to see any kind of trends here in this chart. It's very hard to understand the trends also here. Pie chart is extremely limited, and it's hard to compare which slice of a pie chart, you know, is bigger and for how much, what are the differences. It's actually very hard for humans to compare areas, especially if they are tilted. And then, you know, like more like infographic styles here. The problem of tree maps is they're just using too much color, and then, you know, my attention is drawn to the color. And the other problem is I cannot add for those values. First, it's very hard for me to compare. Is this, you know, is this like larger than this, for how much? But more importantly, I cannot add more information, like, okay, if this is if this value is what, 5 million, is this better than last year? Is this on the plan or on the target or not? So you cannot add anything more to this tree map. So its use is very, very limited. So the problem. So first of all, we need to get rid of these charts and replace them with something better. And in finance, typically this would be, first of all, simple bar charts with the addition of important information, like, okay, you know, what's my sales? This is my bar, but also what is like growth from previous year, or what is the variance to plan? So basically that you add variances into charts. Okay. Because this is much more interesting now. Okay, April was, you know, it was 392, but I see that that's actually 95 more than my plan, for example. Then line charts, simple line charts, but with the so-called difference highlight, so that I understand, you know, that the growth in June, my actual value is, for example, almost 60% higher than it was previous year or planned. Okay. Waterfall charts, lots of waterfall charts, because waterfall charts work really nicely in finance. People do love them, and they are very, very suitable for displaying calculations like in income statements, and, you know, contribution margin analysis, and pricing calculations, and so on. So this would be the vertical waterfall chart. Then again, bar charts with an additional chart. This is what we call extended charts. So you can either present your variances integrated in a chart like this one. So this one would be called integrated variance chart, and this one is simply an additional chart presenting the variance to plan. However, this chart is actually scaled to this one. So if this is, you know, 30 and this is 133, the length of both bars, or in other words, the y-axis of all the charts, of both charts, is synchronized. Okay, so that I understand exactly what the amount of the variance is compared to my base value. This is quite important. So the scaling, right? Then forecasts. So charts that can display forecasts in addition to the actual values, either in columns or in, you know, area charts or other types, waterfall types of charts. As we see here, this is the forecast for Q4 and so on. So these are charts that work better in business reporting and especially in finance. Number 2 here, proper labels. So if you have like missing labels, so charts without any labels, I simply don't know what this value is. I can see that it's, you know, somewhere between 20 and 40, but it's much better to place the values directly in charts instead of showing the axis and axis labels, the y-axis labels. Then is you know, so once you add those labels here, you can just get rid of the axis entirely, including the axis labels here on the y-axis. Then further problems with labels. There should be no vertically oriented or diagonal labels in reports, because they are simply very hard to read. I need to tilt my head like this, and then, you know, my neck will hurt. So this is simply bad practice. All the labels in all the reports should be actually placed horizontally, so I can read them. All right. Also, things like color legends, this is also considered a bad practice. Very hard to compare which label represents which element, is linked to each element, especially if there are lots of elements, and then in Power BI you'll get this arrow here. So people actually need to click here to see all the labels, the whole legend, and so on. So it's much better if the labels are clean, and there's the right precision for the labels, and also the right density of the labels. So not, you know, not too much, and but still enough, right? So that important data is labeled. Then your reports will become very clean and very understandable, even if you have much more charts. So in this case, I have 10 charts here plus 2, 3. So I have 13 charts on my report, but, you know, all the labels are displayed horizontally. They are short, and, you know, only the important labels are displayed. So it's exact and quite legible, I would say. All right, number 3, consistent colors, labels, and shapes. Well, color is a very important topic, but just number 1 recommendation here would be try to reduce the number of colors. The most radical idea here would be to start with a completely neutral, desaturated color, like dark gray or something, or maybe, you know, pale blue or desaturated blue color, and something like that. But then what is very important, use strong saturated colors for really important information, which are the changes, the variances, where something happens, where my attention should actually be. Because with this you will create, you know, with this you will guide users' attention to the points of interest on a dashboard that is really important, where the action should be, where people should actually take a look. Okay, what's now going on? Why is this red? Okay, now my attention is here, and I'll explore further here. Okay, so the variances, as you have seen already, try to always display variances. Okay, you need to bring your comparisons into reports and dashboards, but typically what people do in charts is that they just stick their actuals and previous year in like those side-by-side as side-by-side comparisons. So this would be side-by-side column chart, side-by-side bar chart, and things like that. Or line charts with lots of lines. But what is important here is actually the gap between my actuals. Is this my actual? Yeah, this is my sales, and then my, what is this, sales prior or target? Okay, let's say it's target, right? So the gap is important here, okay? The gap is important, so visualize the gap as here, right? So it can be green or red, so show the red-green stuff, basically. Okay, adding comments, extremely important. Add qualitative information to your charts and dashboards. Short, to the point explanations, commentary can add huge value to reports and dashboards. So this is quite important. And yeah, this needs to be, of course, dynamic. Add forecasts, as I have already explained. So not just show the past, show the forecast until the rest of the year. Show tables where you compare monthly performance and year-to-date performance, but also the full year performance, where you compare your forecast, so your full year forecast with your full year plan, right? So this is important. This is important. Okay, and my last point, correct scaling. So if you're adding charts to your dashboards, we always see that people just add separate visuals in Power BI without the concept of scaling. This is actually one of the problems actually in Power BI, because every visual is treated like a separate, entity, and they are not synced. So there's no mechanism of syncing the visuals, but there are certain ways how you can compensate for that. The problem here is, for example, here I can see a lot of yellow, here I can see a lot of yellow. So it looks like, and they are both below the plan. Actually, here here the gap looks much bigger than here. However, so my visual perception is, all right, this is as important as this. But is this true? No, it's not, because this is 402K and this is 49K. So this is, 9 times less important than this one. So why is this bar not 9 times shorter than this one? And then my intention would be here, because this gap is actually much bigger than this one. Okay, so this is a huge problem in Power BI, and you can compensate for that by using small multiples and other techniques in data visualization. So for example, this is an example of a small multiple done with the Zebra BI charts visual. And here I have 10 business units. And because everything is scaled, I understand it, okay, because this bar is much bigger than this one, for example. I know exactly the relations. So it's exactly the size here, exactly matches the relations in the numbers. So, I understand that this is my, most important, the biggest business unit. It has great growth, 16.3%, right? Which is perfect. And my second biggest business unit is kind of, it's slightly has negative growth, almost 10%, and so on. And I see that, okay, I have some big growth, some growth here, but it's much less important than here. Okay, so first that I need to understand the relations between the data, and for that you need the scaling. All right, now these were quite a lot of I would say recommendations and so on, and they're hard to achieve in Power BI. Many things you actually can do in Power BI if you know certain tips and tricks. You can use small multiples, you can use conditional formatting in the matrix visual, and so on. However, the gap in visualization is relatively big. This is why we decided to actually develop 3 visuals. So the Zebra BI custom visuals, address this problem that I was describing. So, but we have tried to make them extremely easy to use, even though they they solve some complex data visualization problems. So, for example, this income statement here that is, fully expandable, collapsible, has out-of-the-box commentary directly inside the visual, offers multiple views, like we can have more like a table view and more like a visualization view, and can switch different types of charts directly here, and so on. Is this hard to create or not? Okay, so let me try to replicate this. Just to give you an idea. So this is now the Zebra BI tables visual. So this is this one, Zebra BI tables. You can import this visual, you can get it on the Microsoft App Source. The basic version of the visuals, of all the 3 visuals are free, okay? And then for full functionality, you need a license. So now I'll create, let me just add my accounts, so revenue, cost of goods sold, and so on. And then I have, so this is my group of accounts, and then, I get into details here. And now I'll just add a couple of measures. So this is these are my actuals, and let's compare this to previous year at once. As Rishi has already explained, you have seen these. These are the automatically calculated variances here. You can move the columns around in the tables and so on. And but the important thing is here. So first of all, I'll switch off the automatic sorting. So as you see, Zebra BI offers sorting directly by just clicking on the column header here. But if you switch this to off, so there's no custom sort by a column, then the Zebra BI will just take your custom sort from your model, which is something that you need to have in your Power BI income statements, P&Ls, and so on. So now I have the right order of my accounts. And let me switch to a waterfall chart here. Okay. And now you see I have my revenue, service, and so on. This is a subtotal. So this is already my revenue here. And then I have some costs. All right. So costs of goods sold. Now these costs of goods sold in my model, they don't have the minus sign already in the numbers, which is fine, which is actually better. Because you have 3 million costs, you don't have minus 3 million costs in a certain period, right? So this is actually better. However, of course, they need to be subtracted from your revenue. So that's why the Zebra BI offers the so-called custom calculations directly in the visual. So you can just invert all the elements. So the whole group of elements is inverted. So I get the minus here. And those 3.7 million is now subtracted here, and my gross margin will now be a result. So I'll just click here and mark this as a result, and I get 23 minus 7.5 is equals 15 million, 15.8 million. This is my gross margin, and then I have some operating expenses. I'll invert this, and I arrive at my next result, which is my operating income. And then this is my next result. Provision, will need to invert the provisions, and this will be, so the net income will be my result here, 5.7 million. And I don't need the total here, so I'll just remove the grand total. And this is my income statement, visually presented, and so on. All right, so these are the custom calculations in the tables visual. So it's relatively easy to create this. So without any kind of, DAX modeling tricks or, calculating variances, inverting stuff, and so on. The next problem in financial reporting is that you need to mix different types of KPIs. So In my case here, I would like to see the gross margin as a % of revenue. So you can add this element, add a row by simply entering a formula. So let me just add gross margin % equals gross margin divided by my revenue. Now you can format this as well. So just format this as a percentage, make it bold, italics. You can color your labels, add this to my report, and I have my gross margin, which is calculated previous year for actual, and then we also have the variance. And the Zebra BI knows that this is now a percentage point because it's a change into percentages and so on, right? So this is the functionality that is all built into the Zebra BI tables visual. And then the last step would be adding comments. Okay, so now if you have comments in some table, you just load the table into Power BI, and then you just add the comment into your visual. Now you have the comments here. So the Zebra BI will display it. You'll get the tooltip, and in addition to that, you can also display the comments in a separate comment box that is, flexible like this. So the whole design is just done within one single visual, and you can even move the comments around. So you can move them to, a different column and so on. So this is all out of the box in Zebra BI. All right. Okay. So this would be a short presentation just to show the how do you actually work with the visuals. And now, okay, to get back to the financial reporting. So basically, what do you need? What do you need for a good financial report? I would say, of course, the calendar. You need your period calculation, so month to date, year to date, and this is best if you model that as a separate, very short dimension. Okay, this is basically one data field. Typically, you can do it. You can add it to your model as a disconnected table, or use calculation groups in Power BI. This works really nicely. Of course, account hierarchy. We have clients with 14 levels of hierarchy in their account structure. But then, of course, you have the subtotals, the formulas for specific KPIs. Then you have result, like intermediate results. And then you have inverted rows for like expenses, costs, and things like that. Report switch. If you have, if you are able to actually combine your PLL and balance sheet into one data model, then you can just provide a switch for the user to actually see everything in one single report and one single visual. The waterfall charts, okay, try to use the waterfall charts, at least in some reports. And variances, of course, extremely important. Comments, okay. All right. I think my time is my time is running out, I guess. So I think I'll stop here, and I just want to make one more point here. My last point is, if you're able to transform some of your reports into this actionable, format, there's still a danger in a company that other people will use, different techniques, will use different knowledge for creating charts, and they have different taste, and they use different tools like Power BI, and then still Excel and PowerPoint, and there are still lots of Excel reports and PowerPoint presentations out there, and it's still a messy situation in one company, right? So the adoption of this actionable type of reporting is very important. So it needs to be adopted, across platforms, across different tools, and in different departments and so on. Because only with wide adoption across different platforms, a company, can actually achieve the transformation in reporting. So this is why in Zebra BI, we are now actually just before the launch of the whole suite of products. So the Zebra BI for Power BI will be, the Zebra BI will also be available in Excel and in PowerPoint. And it'll have exactly the same user experience. Everything that I have shown so far will work in Excel and PowerPoint. So to close this, I will, let me just show an example how this works in Excel now. So you insert a Zebra BI chart like this. Okay, and it has read all the information here. And it's still completely interactive. So you can switch between the different types of charts. You can, break the axis in the waterfall chart. You can add another comment. Like this, and it'll appear here. So, it has the same experience. It'll consolidate your reports, but in Excel, it'll have some additional benefits of being more flexible and using different types of data connections, pivot tables. This works then with pivot tables. This works with not just pivot tables, but also like Power BI pivot tables. So you can insert a Power BI pivot table directly from your Power BI data source, so that you use one version of truth, reuse your data models, have light Excel, but then still have fully interactive Zebra BI visuals on top of that with the same user experience. All right. Okay. The version 4 Excel and Power BI is coming out soon. It will be officially launched on October 18th. So Rishi, I guess, will also follow up. We'll send a link how users can get this, because I also have a very good news for individuals. The version for Excel and Power BI and PowerPoint will be completely free for one individual. Okay, so it'll only be a paid visual for larger companies. Good.
Thanks, Andrej. That was really.
Any questions, Rishi?
Can you hear me, Andrej?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, cool. Actually, before I do that, can you show that dynamic commentary thing in Excel again, where you typed in a comment and it came up on screen? I need to video that if I'm allowed.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is really you just basically just type it here. So you just type your comment here, and when you press enter, when your source data changes in Excel, and this can be Excel ranges, this can be Excel tables, or this can be a pivot table, it just appears here on the visual, because the visual is completely interactive and it's completely responsive. So at any time something changes in the source data, like instantly it updates the visual, and it's extremely fast. I mean, this works blazingly fast in Excel. Yeah, so you could just type it here. And this gives you, this just sort of leverages the flexibility of Excel, because now in Power BI, certain things are, things are great, but they need to be managed. And that's, a slightly different world. It's a world of reporting, enterprise reporting, dashboarding, and so on. And in Excel, you have different maybe use cases where it is more personal. Sometimes it's ad hoc analysis, or just doing a prototype for something that you're later on move to Power BI and then govern and so on. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Andrej. Really good to see. We've got a question about whether we could use the drill through feature with Zebra BI visuals.
Absolutely, this is a great question. I actually mentioned this. There are lots of ways how you can use it. Actually, the experience of using the drill through in ZebraBI, I believe, is better than in native visuals. So you can use the report page tooltips and stuff, but then the drill through, you have lots of options. Like for example, when I click here, this is the ZebraBI cards visual, right? This is a multi-card visual, so you can move the cards up and down and so on. But then, of course, when you click, it will filter. But if you want to see more about this, right, and you do have a drill through page, which I highly recommend, then users just click here on a button. They actually have a button. This is out of the box functionality of the ZebraBI cards visual now, for example. So it actually has a button for drill through. So you don't have to set up an additional like drill through button and stuff and overlap it and so on, which is typically what people do. It does have a native out of the box button, and then simply here you select drill through, and you now drill through, and now you see this is my EBIT. Okay, so this is now my detailed report where I drilled through from my EBIT basically KPI card, and now I can again dive in, understand what's going on with my EBIT. I see the problem is actually in Middle East, and can then close this, open this. Okay, it's actually this customer. Then you click, get the chart for this, whatever, and then you go back and you're back to this report. So if it would be EBITDA, of course, I'll get a different. Now it's EBITDA, you see.
Nice.
And there's a different problem. Well, it's the same client, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah, really good to see you. Yeah, the content.
And this is part of the best practice that we are also actually preaching, right? Do not use heavy like slicers and so on. Try to design this user experience, this interaction design in a way that people will consume the information through the visuals, through the content. Okay, so I want to, if something is red, I need to click here, or I will right click and then drill through. I don't have the drill through set here, but otherwise I would just simply right click and see this here. Maybe I have it here. No, I would need to set up the drill through here. But so just tell users to use the drill through, and then you just link the drill through pages together. That works really well.
Cool. Thanks, Andrej. Yeah, Mira?
Andrej, a very good feature I can see on waterfalls. You can reduce the height of the
Sorry, I can see a very good feature for waterfall. So basically, you can reduce the main bar so that the small variances in the scale
will
kind of be visible, right? Otherwise, okay, all right, yeah.
This is called the axis break. So the ZebraBI visuals have this out of the box feature. So typically, you will get the situations where where the variances are very small compared to the beginning and end point in a chart, which is good. I mean, it can be good, so it's important that people understand, okay, not much is going on here. I mean, it's 8% growth, right? But then if I want to compare the variances, I simply click here and get this. And in addition to that, you actually have a lot of settings. Everything that I have shown here was without the settings, which actually kind of reflects our philosophy that things should be really simple. In Power BI, many times things are very complicated. So the DAX is complicated. Even the visuals, you need to click through, set up a lot of settings and the conditional format and so on. And here we basically try to think what user will do and what is really the most natural, easy way to consume this. So you'll see things like this, and then you can click here to either display the changes in percent or in absolute variance or both. And you can do this in the waterfall chart as well. You can have the percentages here or even both values if you need them, or just the absolute values. And then further on, then you get more control in the settings. So for the axis break, this is now 80%, but you can actually break it to 85% or I don't know, 90%, and so on, right? So you increase the amount of break then in the settings.
Great, thanks, Andrej. Any other questions, Andrej? Yeah.
Hi, Andrej. What about the licensing for a very large organization where they're using Power BI Premium for many users?
Yeah, for very large organizations. So if you head over to the ZebraBI.com website, you'll see the pricing here for the very large organizations. The price gets below €1 per user, or below €1 per user per month. Yeah, this is actually, we have a lot of clients who are using like either the unlimited. We also have site licenses. So if you have, premium or something, then it's quite simple, because it's it's not a large addition to what you're paying for the premium. So it's a small increase, and then you get the visuals. So yeah, many of these users here are using either a site license or have a lot of licenses. Yeah.
Andrej, what's the definition of a user? So, for example, if we created a report and published that, and people are just only like watching,
viewing, consuming,
yeah,
and interacting. The user, it's basically the same as in. So it's per total number of users, right? So the designers and the viewers both needs to be covered with a license, and this is why then with more users, the price goes down quite fast.
Great. Anyone else? Yeah, G.
Hi, Andrej. I like the way the product has matured over time, and I would like to present it to my client, but my client are quite fussy about, is there any data that goes back to the company or leaving their company? They want some kind of assurance.
Absolutely. No data whatsoever goes out of the visual. Our visual is certified by Microsoft. So it is a certified visual, which means that every time we update the visual, which we do quite frequently actually, so every time it has to go through rigorous Microsoft certification process, which means they are reviewing our codes, they are doing security checks and network checks, and I don't know exactly what they're doing, but it's a procedure that they do, so it's guaranteed that the data, and this is the number one condition for every certified visual in the app source. So if it is certified, then the first condition is it must not send any kind of data anywhere. So of course, ZebraBI just gets the data from Power BI. There's a Power BI API for that that Microsoft offers for partners like us. And then so we use Microsoft's API to get the data, and then we render the data. That's it. Right, so it stays within the visual, and the visual is also what is called sandboxed, right? So it cannot read anything outside of the visual. And as you see here, we have banks and insurance companies and big companies, of course, who who also have the exact same condition. So for us, this is like sacred. Of course, we will never, we'll never break this, for sure. And we cannot, because if we do, then the visual will not be certified anymore.
Yeah. Another question, Andrej, just coming back to users. Say, these days in big companies, there is manufacturing, marketing, finance departments, etc. So with Microsoft licensing, it's kind of easy. So because like if they are using like enterprise-wise, it's just like they are all kind of in Microsoft Pro, whatever license. But say with Zebra BI, if you have only used that for finance department, but manufacturing department is not using, what about how you will do? Because,
Yeah. Of course, and we do have a lot of situations like that. So we do have clients who are using Zebra BI, to a full extent everywhere, in finance, in marketing, in sales, in HR, for HR reporting, for manufacturing, audit, and so on. But then we also have users who are only using it for sales dashboards, like sales versus budget and things like that. Or in finance, and then of course they just buy a department's license for, I don't know, 50 users. If there are 50 users who will actually see this, they don't have to buy the license for the whole company. And it's usually like that. It even, in reality, many times it goes like this, with Zebra BI. They usually start in sales, like for sales and budget dashboards reporting, and in finance for P&Ls, cash flow analysis, balance sheets and accounts receivable and stuff like that, where Zebra really has, meaningful features. And then, they buy just departmental licenses, and then later on they see, we could also improve our HR reporting and so on, and then it kind of spreads. But yeah, you can buy any number of licenses. So cool. It can be just 5 licenses to start with or something.
Cool. Thanks, Andrej.
And there's a free trial. So there's a free trial. First of all, there's the free version, which you can use, and it's, you can create quite a lot of things already with the free version, but you will not get all the settings, and we cannot offer technical support for free users. There are just too many free users out there. But then if you have a license, even if it's just 5 licenses, then we also offer the support, full support, and everything.
Great. I'll do one last question that's come through online, and then we need to wrap up. It was just on the variance percentage calculation. So obviously, Zebra BI automatically calculates all the variances. So the question is, if that needs to be customized using DAX, is it possible to overwrite how the visual calculates?
Yeah, it's possible. I did not show all the things here. So first of all, even within the automated variances, you have lots of things how you do this. So first of all, you can choose the calculation. So you can change it from actual minus plan to, I don't know, plan minus actual, which would then invert the logic for certain things. If you are doing, these are special cases, like if you plan for the next year and then actually you don't track plan versus actual versus existing plan, but you actually want to see what the next year plan is compared to the actuals. So you have options already inside here, but then there's a thing called, I'm not sure if I have some. Let me see if I can just quickly show this. These are Zebra small multiples. Do I have like maybe here? All right, so let me see if I can make this smaller. You have lots of buckets here. So this visual is really powerful. So it calculates variances, but then you can add the so-called additional columns. So you can just take, for example, this is my percent of total. I'm not sure if this works, what kind of measure is this, but let's try it. So I'll just add this to my values. Okay, so now you see in the end, I got another, so this is now my custom calculation. This could be your custom variance with a different formula, for example, and it is being added to the visual. And then, but it behaves as all the other columns. So you can move it around, so you can have like, you know, you can move it here, and then, you know, you can display it as a chart and so on. So this could be your custom variance. And you can add as many as 20 additional columns to all the other columns that Zebra BI tables can handle. So it can just be, you know, you can have a lot of measures here, and it will also work like in cross tables as well.
Cool. Thanks so much, Andrej. Great. Thanks, everyone. And yeah, thanks so much, Andrej. And yeah, let's do a round of applause for Andrej.
Thank you, guys.